Alrighty, so let's make us some pillars. So we do have 7 of these, but right now we're gonna focus on the beta to see how it goes. But otherwise, yeah, it should be, knock on wood, straightforward for you cats. You should be able to knock these out. But I just want to point out a few things where my mind is at, where my mind grapes be, and then make sure we're all on the same page. But other than that, let's get after it. So yeah, I was focusing on all of these like parts here in the vertical stack, and all these little parts here. And I just literally missed the 2 biggest pieces. So I updated the file there. So yeah, here's your verts, and here's your zonts. And yeah, this guy here is the one that got changed. We want a 16th shorter here, and we want a 16th shorter here. So make sure you don't confuse the 2, and use the new one, whichever one he routes, and just go ahead and check the other one. So happy birthday, Casey. We got the skins, little hatch doors here that are going to be for those guys. So install can have access, and then the notorious triangle. You got all your jiggies, you got the back side and you got the front side. Everything's the same except for, well, except for the ones that aren't. So, and then all the 1/4-inch plate, these are the jacks. We've made these kind of things before, and I'll show you how those go. So again, not much. Start with the jacks. So you're just going to weld these together in one piece. And then you can see where I have like these labels. So I have this guy here is 1, this is 2, this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7's at the bottom there. So these are numbered with the one that they mate with. So the top 5 one goes underneath this 5. And then the 6 one here is the bottom of the jack. And then it goes onto the top of the number 6. So you can see here, so that's your 1/4, and it sits on top of the number 6, but then you're going to trap the top of the jack with 5. That sits on top. So that means that your jack is a little different. So the fact that the 5, the top, has to fit within the jigs and the little folded piece there, right? So that's that piece that goes there. That's 5. So it has to avoid this too and make room for that. So my hope is that, you know, you're our only hope. So I'm hoping that goes there and you can actually tack to that piece and add some strength, because this thing's going to be sheeted in, you know, backer board, but also it's going to have, obviously, I'm hoping the granite doesn't like hang off of it. I'm hoping the granite kind of is supported by the ground, and then the granite is kind of leaning against it. But anyway, these are not going to be light once they're built. So let's just make sure we throw some good welds, make sure everything's really strong, some good strength. So anyway, so you're going to weld these up, weld all these guys up. So bottom is the bottom jack. And I understand you got, you know, unfortunately we only have so many letters in the alphabet. So B is the back side of the sign. That is the side that's opposite of the notch. And then the face has the notch on the left-hand side. You're past the duchy. So that's the front. So F is front, T is top, B is bottom, but it also, there's a top jack, which is the T2, good movie, and then the B3. So, you know, make sure you mount those up, or, you know, match those up properly. So anyway, so bottom, B, that all goes here. That gets trapped between 5 and 6. You build it around that. And then, like I said, the jiggies, you can go ahead and weld the jiggies to the jack, and that way it's nice and strong. Same thing here. But of course, the top, we've done this before. The top is going to have 2 extendo bars that run their way all the way up to a lift point. So that's these guys here. So you can see like this part here is the same as the one below, except these will jut all the way through. But these are going to be wobbly boys. They're going to be kind of flappy because I have plenty of clearance on the number 1. So there's nothing to tack it to. So as it goes past number 1, just go ahead and make a measurement here where they're together, and then make sure that that's the same measurement here. You're going to go ahead and cut a 1.5 inch piece of pipe. For right now, this is the only cut list I have for you. And even though we're doing a beta, I know that this isn't going to change. So go ahead and cut 7 of these little tubes, 6 inch. And then when you go through and weld them up, make sure that these are as straight as possible. And if anything, this might flare out a little bit. A little more room is better. I just don't want this to pinch if you accidentally weld it and it's kind of crooked or whatever, that as they drop it onto the pole, it doesn't pinch because I only have like an eighth on each side. So if this is welded too tight, this could pinch and then bind up, and we're all very sad. So let's not do it. So anyway, just make sure that's welded good. This really isn't meant, this is more for install and it shouldn't matter to you guys, but I'm not really sold that this could put up with lifting after it's got granite on it. So I would almost chop this out after the granite's on it, just to make sure nobody actually lifts this thing later if they're like, oh, we need to take this out or something. Anyway, so hopefully they never try that, or if they do, hopefully it survives. But anyway, so that's the jacks. So you're going to weld them up completely, and then you're going to slide these down and trap them accordingly. I have big 193s, so you use the big Clecos to actually tack the jack to that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to do C channels here and here on the both sides, here and here, and then those are going to be your door jambs. Those are going to be your door frames. And then per YJ, we've got 2 half-inch connection points, 2 places. So we should be happy there. So that's here, and then that's there. Now, I said the cutting list, that's it for now. I'll confirm with Jim, but I know the general contractor is doing a lot of the work. So I'm not sure if the general contractor is doing these or if we're doing the pipes. So if we're doing the pipes, then I will give you a separate cut list of 3-inch by 40 schedule, 1/4-inch wall, whatever. So, and then you can cut those as we need. That'll be 7 of those. But until I confirm whether we're doing these or, anyway, so I'll get that from Jim, and then that might update your cut list there. And then, so that's that. You got your skin on the front, skin on the back, and then the sides are the other parts of it. Now, real quick, I just want to do a little explainer here. Before we do skins, I just want to make sure that let's go ahead and like we do, if you want to do some counter stinky, screws around the perimeter a little bit, I know that they'll probably end up, when they do backer board, because this is 2 inches wide, they'll probably end up hitting screws anyway through the backer board and through the framing. So it'll probably get redundantly screwed. But if you could just go ahead and throw some counter stinky screws or some rivets in the corners, just to give it when you put the skins on, and lords the crud out of everything, and maybe do a little extra welding on the jigs just to make sure that this frame is super beefy to put up with, almost literal tons of granite. So anyway, and then that brings us to here as you skin things. So I just want to clarify that my quote unquote paranoia about this, then I'm like, hey, let me know when you do it. Let me know when you do it. It isn't because I don't think you guys will do it right or anything. I'm not going to come check on you to be like, oh, you can't place this properly. It's that this is the second sign, and this is literally the second piece that I've gone to Fusion 360 and used that for the DXF. I quote unquote cheated. So for me, I need to get better at that. I need to learn these things. But for right now, the other one was you remember the slopey part for the winglet that we did for the, that curved wall thing for the winglet for the airport, right? That one, I had just about, I did try laying it out by hand with the X and the Y, the 2-dimensional, and I did it all through Dead Reckoning and trying to line up nodes and things. And I just wanted to double check that I was correct by using Fusion. And then I brought that piece in, I made a DXF off of it, and it was within like 0.007. So I was confident that I had done it right, but I did do the Dead Reckoning. I did use the old school way of doing it, that way I always do it, where you have to lay it out in different perspectives and then line up nodes on various methods and do like, triangles and stuff. Anyway, this one, I was tempted to do that, and I enjoy doing that because it not only does it keep my mind sharp, but you see here, like all of these nodes are accounted for because I made them. Like I know where everything is, every part. If it's wrong, it's because I did it wrong. But I have accountability, and I can see like the matrix. I can see the green letters raining down, and I know these are, I'm 100% intimate with every part because I created everything. When I kind of go as a crutch in a way, when I look at this piece is dark to me because I didn't make it. Now, I sort of know what it took to do it, and I could have done it. So I sort of double checked a little bit to see if it made sense. But I would have normally done this where you take this, you rotate it 45, and that gives you this measurement. Then you take this and you tilt it this way. So this is 90. Then that gives you this, and that gives you this. If you take half of this, then you have to do geometry, do the Pythagorean theorem, you solve for the hypotenuse, and then you double it and you bring it over. However, the problem is this guy is many layers in from the OG 24 by 24. So let me explain that real quick. So this is for people playing along at home. If you're building this thing, you don't care. Fine. I'm just crying right now. But so you can see where the granite is 24 by 24, and this is nice even numbers. It's halfway. That's where the notch starts. So that's nice. And it's a nice even 24 inches down. That's beautiful. However, now I have to back it in going 3/4 granite. I think he has 3/16 mortar, and then he has 1/2 inch backer board. So that means that the 090 is actually in quite a bit. And at that point, I was just tired. So thankfully 3D print has got me better at fusion. So I figured I would go ahead and do that. So here's how I cooked it up, and I was able to do that. So is it lazy? No. You know, ultimately my job is to get you parts. And the faster we can do that, by any means necessary with that, with prejudice, that's how I got to get it to you. So you can see where the challenge would be if you're trying to do this two-dimensionally, that this is the 12-inch here in the granite, but then to correspond that in an X and Y 2D program to find out this where the 090 is, that would be a tall order. I probably could get it done, but I was just like, why not? So is this a crutch? Am I relying? Sure. But when I just send this DXF, I'm not quite sure though if it's completely matching what it's supposed to be until I become comfortable with this. Also, you can see where I'm going to shut this off here, but this is the 09. When this body here is 24 by 24. Our problem is that this dimension is longer than this dimension because in order to make this square, I have to account for the skin on this side, right? And then I have to account for the skin on this side. So this distance is shorter than this distance, which means that this is not like perfectly symmetrical. And actually this distance might be a little different than this because we're not on the skin on this side. So I'm really relying on that, but I went ahead and used this as one of the faces. I use this as a face. I use this as a face, and I actually built the skin off of this. So I totally cheated, quote unquote, in my book, which is fine though. Again, I need to get you guys parts and not sit around trying to do old school math like I used to with, graph paper and stuff. But not having that control kind of freaks me out for the most part right now until I get better at it. So that is why I want to be there when you guys are doing the fit up on this rectangle or triangle, because I want to see how it fits. Because you can see where the construction methods are totally different here, where I can only do planes only, but I mean, there's all kinds of things, but you make points, you make planes to chop things. So I created the plane here, and that's what chopped this. But by doing so, you can see how the skin over here is now at a bevel, right? So I need to, like, our skin is going to go here. So we're already going to have like a big notch. If this was painted, we'd have to like deal with that. And also this file is the outside. That's what I brought over as a DXF, but you can see where you're going to have the skin here and you're going to have the skin on the frame here. So this actually needs to be beveled somehow if it could be that, but obviously we're not going to bevel it. So we're dealing with like how this skin meets up, right there, it's short, and you can see where this skin meets up here. So this piece this piece is gonna get attached to the frame, but you can see where I have no clecos here because I can't hit that mark yet. That's what I'm saying is I wanna get good enough to take these things and be confident that I can, because in order to do like, if I want to know where to put a cleco hole here, I have nodes. I can just move it. And I got these little lines that I have. These cyan lines here are in order to, line up all the cleco holes. But in order to do cyan lines here, you can't really do it per se. So I need to learn how to make this operation coincide with this operation. And I need to be like the third party that translates how this works to how this works. That way I can confidently put some cleco holes for you here. That's why it's kind of fiddly. Like this part here attaches to this frame, but this side kind of is just a catch-all and it should land somewhere in here somewhere. This, right? This guy should land somewhere in here somewhere. And then this little funky dude, where's Top Boy? He's up here. This little guy, I did take a chance. And again, bringing this DXF, this is totally at maximum size. But as you can see, when we do these things, there's a winner and a loser when we bend these. So I have to adjust. So you can see my nugget is here. So I went ahead but I don't know. Should I have left this here and then only notched and brought this back for the bend on the frame and left that pooched forward? Or do I match? Because this is what we normally do is I bring that surface back and that way the leading edge of our triangle will notch in, right? That's, somebody loses, somebody wins, we know that. So this guy clecos up here, but I'm back a little bit. And then this, again, this is why this is don't overcook. This should theoretically just land right along the top of our triangle there. So, and whether or not you choose to, so that's why I want to be there, see what the fitment is, because again, you see how this is beveled, we're already going to have a massive gap. And then this guy, in order to make it fit, what I did is this is actually a 16th inline. So I went ahead and took a 16th inline off of the Fusion DXF. So hopefully there's a little more room, but I'm thinking that where this skin edge is here, we're already going to be crazy beveled back. So there's already be a huge gap, I think. So in my mind, I have a picture of how it's supposed to be. And then that's why I kind of want to be there to fiddle with it and before you guys attach it. So I can kind of see the fitment. And then that will give me the ability to translate and get a little more comfortable with what's going on in Fusion over here. So anyway, so that's the reason why I'm kind of bugging out about that. It has nothing to do with like, oh, I want to make sure you guys do it right. Plus the stakes are really low because like I said, this whole thing's getting covered by backer board. So it's a good thing to learn on. You might even have to tack, a couple times on the face and grind or whatever. So we'll figure it out. But that's my explanation on that. If you guys are playing along at home or if you're in another department and you want to start laying down DXFs like I do, these are the things that you come across and these are the things that I struggle with that, keep me awake at night. And, that's why I don't have any friends. So anyway, if you have any questions, hit me up.
Check the